Much has been written about Larry's search for meaning in his life through religion and his failure to find it. Most agree that the film is not interested in providing answers for its most profound questions. Larry is committed to the belief that the universe is what my youth pastors refer to as the divine vending machine. You put in a quarter, you get a soda, you put in a good deed, and God blesses you. But as my youth pastors were quick to point out, the God of the Hebrew and Christian Bible don't work like that. He works in mysterious ways. So Larry accepts this and searches for someone to interpret the symbology and metaphor of the events that are occurring to him, and he continues to come up empty. The grand wisdom that he is denied turns out isn't so grand after all. This is where most critical analyses end, with the film being a meditation on the unanswerable questions of life and the futility of trying to find meaning behind seemingly random occurrences, but I do think I have a little more to add, otherwise writing this essay would be pretty pointless. The end of the movie is clearly a continuation of its central themes. Things start looking up for Larry as he's seemingly weathered the storm of this awful period of his life, only for things to come crashing down. It's only when he actually makes a decision that God does seem to intervene and strike him down. Larry's son also receives judgment because as soon as he becomes a man, his decisions to smoke weed and kinda cheat on his bar mitzvah come back to haunt him in the form of an oncoming tornado, threatening to end his life. The film almost seems to posit that when bad things are happening to us, God is nowhere to be found, but when we do bad things, God shows up and passes his judgment onto us. The atheist in me sees this as a fitting ending to this search for answers. There are none. And you have to do things for yourself to reconcile life's tragedies. But the 20 plus years of Christian education in me sees this as a critique of the way we view the relationship between our actions and God's response. In fact, all of Larry's drama of a serious man comes from interpersonal conflict and humans making selfish decisions, except the ending, featuring two acts of gods that our characters are helpless to fight against. The movie supports both interpretations, which is one of the reasons it's such an excellent film. Another slightly overlooked aspect of the movie is the character of Arthur. In a way, Arthur is a foil to Larry, and as he so eloquently observes, Larry thinks he's losing everything, while Arthur truly has nothing at all. Arthur is going through a similar crisis as Larry after being arrested. Arthur seems to have many traits and characteristics that are truly out of his control. He was socially awkward, likely gay, mentally ill, and oh yeah, he's got that weird neck thing. These are things he's unable to control and attempts to respond to them, unlike Larry, but ultimately ends up in the same place. Larry has some autonomy over the events of his story, but often chooses not to act, whereas Arthur has very little autonomy over the events of his life, but still tries his best to stay upbeat and make light of his situation. This can be brushed off as another plot point to add to Larry's mounting worries and money problems, but this aspect of the film wouldn't have worked without Arthur. The importance of Arthur's character is that whether you have any control of the ups and downs of your life, the successes and failures, wins and losses, comedies and tragedies, at some point or another, you're just going to end up in a pool in your underwear screaming at whatever entity you believe in. And the next day, you're still going to have to wake up until one day you don't.